Hi, hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, Lucid Liberation. I'm Val, and this is going to be my first sketchbook tour of a book that has 156 pages in it. And it's mainly watercolor with some black micron pens, some white jelly pens, and a little bit of gouache. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. There's what would I describe as in this book? Well, I started watercoloring about a year ago, and so this book was my way to do as many pieces as I could in a year to really learn and grow. So there's original pieces in here, there's tutorials in here, there's pieces that I drew inspiration from on Pinterest and made my own variations of those things. So yeah, it's a lot of learning, but I hope from this book that you can get some sort of inspiration. And I personally like to listen to art sketchbook tours when I'm making my own art, or if I'm cleaning in the house or cooking breakfast in the morning. So wherever you are in the world, I hope that this book finds you in good company. And we're gonna set the vibes first. Set the vibes. I'm just gonna light a nice little candle. And this candle is actually rustic pumpkin, because I love a good pumpkin smell. So on the first page here, I've just got a Polaroid of myself and my little Bengal cat. I had some stickers left over from a passion planner, so I put them in here, and then I just put this little note that this watercolor book was a gift for myself and anyone in need of inspiration, and that it was my first watercolor sketchbook. And so this shows the growth that transpired in a year. And I started out with a lucky cat or money cat, which you can see I've got another one here. I'm a big fan of these guys. I've got some paintings of lucky cats in my room, some little moving figures and things like that, because they're a lot of fun. So I just wanted to start out. The first page of the sketchbook is always the hardest, isn't it? Because you don't want to mess it up, you know what to do, but a lot of these I just went for it. So yeah, this is just an original piece, a little lucky cat that I started on the first day of the year. I did a challenge going into the first part of the year, so with the challenge, I wanted to do a watercolor piece every single day for 30 days in January. So that's what a lot of this is. Started out doing some experimentation. This is my own work. Starting to figure out how the watercolors layer on top of each other. Did these little plants from a tutorial watercolor sketchbook or watercolor workbook that I have. It's really cool just seeing all the different shades of green that I could get. And moving over here, started playing around with some different plants. This was I believe it's pronounced Gansai Tombi. If you're into the watercolor world, it's like a green, oh, I've got it right here, let me just show you. So I started playing around with this kit right here, which I later found out, this is fun, but one of the challenges with this sketchbook was that it's not 100% cotton. I really didn't know enough getting into this art. I found a mixed media book, which is why it's so big. It was cheaper. I later found out that you ideally do want 100% cotton paper for watercolor. So it was a challenge to use those specific types of paints on this book, so I sort of steered away from using them. But yeah, just experimenting, starting to do this as another tutorial. Some tulips. I love doing this right here, where you just like add your little color palette in. I feel like it's a nice little unique touch to do that. So here I started playing with some carrots. I love these colors. This was from a tutorial. A lot of these tutorials were wet on wet from the particular workbook I was using, and I found out really quickly that wet on wet does better on 100% cotton paper. So when I was doing the wet on wet on this, it wasn't the best, but you know, you learn as you go. That's the whole point of this book. So love these colors of the purples and the oranges. I think it really made it all pop quite a bit. This was a landscape tutorial I did from the same workbook. I believe the artist whose workbook it was Sarah Cray, who is an awesome YouTuber. So this was fun. It was making a little landscape, playing with adding salt right here to see the effects it got on the landscape while it was still wet. Once again, this had elements of wet on wet, so I struggled with it a bit, but I like this piece. I think it turned out kind of cool. For here, I started doing some tutorials on hydrangeas. This was trying again to use the Gansai Tombi watercolors, and yeah, it was just a little aesthetic thing, starting to play with color palette choices together, color combos. That was definitely a big thing I learned in this book, was color combos. Yeah, so I like these little plants. I think this is a really good beginner one to do right here, just so you can get used to how much water to add with the watercolors and what happens when you mix some of the colors together, what you can make from that. Oh, this is fun. So this is a little character I made. First time I made this character was actually with acrylic paint, and this character's name is Frank. Frank is a little frog, and so throughout this book, Frank's just doing different things, and what I love about this little character is just seeing how as he evolves throughout the book. There's a few pieces of him in this sketchbook, but I'm starting to figure out like how to make his feet, which first I was like, well, it's just not even have feet. And then I'm just starting to transition into later in the book, what they actually end up looking like is much better than this. So I was using those weird watercolors that don't do well in this book with these. They don't layer very well because they're more like a gouache. They're not as transparent, so I had to do like more solid versions of them. But yeah, Frank is a little frog guy, and he's just living life. And one thing I think to note about Frank, this character that I made, is that Frank has more of a masculine name, right? But Frank does whatever lights him up in his heart, whatever brings him joy, whether it's something that's considered more of a thing that women do or more of a thing that men do. Frank is very balanced in the masculine and the feminine, and Frank just lives life to the fullest and tries out things that he's curious about and does things that make him happy regardless of gender norms. So this is Frank. All right, so here I was getting into learning about the two different watercolors, the Gansai Tombi, if that's how you pronounce it, and the Cotman watercolors. So I mainly use these Winsor Newton Cotman watercolors, and then the Gansai Tombi, which are, Cotman watercolor is a student grade, meaning you really have to layer on the colors to get the vibrancy, which is fine because I'm starting out, so it's perfect for me. So yeah, I was learning these techniques like values, so adding in more water to the watercolor to make it lighter, using a wet on wet technique versus a wet on dry technique, and then glazing, which is building value, letting it dry, and then adding another layer of the same color. Playing around with blending, where you put the color in and then add water to pull it down to make it lighter. And then I started playing with these kind of like room aspects, which you'll see later in the book. I love creating little room scenes. So here I did a tutorial on YouTube learning some flowers, which my first workshop I taught last year was actually flowers. It was painting a Mother's Day card. So this was sort of when I was getting into that world of what are we going to paint for this workshop, because I'm new to painting watercolor. What's something that I can easily teach other people with my limited knowledge. And then this is the first room scene. So this is an original piece. I like doing these little room scenes. I just feel like they're really calm and inviting. And you know, with painting a room scene, you don't have to buy all these things to create this room. You don't have to overconsume and buy all these things that'll eventually end up in a landfill. With these room scenes, you can make your little dream cozy room and experience yourself in that space without actually having to need the money or the space to get all these things. So yeah, that's kind of my love with these room scenes. All right. Oh, so this one's upside down, which is fine. I'm gonna keep it this way just so I don't move the book. This is the only one I accidentally did upside down the book, and it's okay. This is just a fun book. There's no pressure here. So these two are tutorials. I believe these are called cone flowers. And there's a lot of awesome tutorials on YouTube, but I really loved this one. It took quite a while to do, but there was a lot of building of color where you would start like with a really light yellow, add a little bit of yellow orange, add more orange into it. And so it took a lot of patience, but I love the end result of this. And then of course this is a nice little landscape. This reminds me a lot of where I live in Tennessee. You see a lot of these mountains and just, it's yeah, rolling hills, really large rolling hills. I don't know if I'd call them mountains, but large rolling hills, trees, evergreens, that sort of thing. So it reminds me of where I live. All right, here, this was inspired from Pinterest, and I decided to do, while it was wet, add some salt to see what sort of effects I could get. And it was interesting. I had fun experimenting with the salt to see what happens. So this was just a playful little page of a whale. This is something I believe I also got inspired from Pinterest and duplicated. It's a little coffee shop. I love making these little whimsical houses. I love playing with doing, yeah, just a whimsical, more fun scene rather than making things so realistic and leaning so deep into realism. All right, next here, this was inspired from Pinterest. This is a little cow and some little red cowboy boots. And this was fun. The squares, I just wet the squares and dropped in the color so you can kind of see how there's different colors mixed together, and I was starting to explore what that looked like of making those sort of gradients. Here's a nice little shelf scene. Yeah, I loved these little architectural lights, and I started kind of learning a little bit about shadow here, kind of started playing with shadow, going back in after things had dried and trying to add like another layer of that color to see if I could add some depth to it, which is a huge thing that I learned this last year. And so this was just sort of the beginning of that. Of course, I love adding these little frogs into the room scenes. You'll see them here and there throughout the book. So here at this point in the trip, this point in the book, I'm doing this 30-day challenge, right? And I happen to be on a snowboard trip. So I was trying to do some things that sort of inspired the land that I was on in Colorado snowboarding. So I got this idea from Pinterest. These are some little goggles, playing with the gradients again of if I get this wet and drop it in, what happens when the colors mix together. This, I was just imagining what the mountains would look like in Colorado and if the snow wasn't there. I do love this. Yeah, it's fun to play with, imagine that. Here I'm just playing around with some little fruits. I believe I was learning these from Pinterest. Same thing here. I want to say this was inspired from Pinterest picture that I found. It's just a little bookstore. And this is real cute. So I like here, still working with like, this was an expansive color palette, but sort of limiting, not using all the colors of the rainbow when it comes to like the book. So I really stuck with these kind of purples, oranges, blues, and greens. And I like it. I think it's pretty aesthetic here. Starting to add in elements of shadow by coming back in after things have been dried and adding another layer of that color. These are some tutorials here. We've got a nice little barn in the field. Reminds me of where I live. This was a time-consuming tutorial, believe it or not. Basically started with like all the lightest color of green, and then as you see the colors darken, it was just adding a more deep value, I believe is the word, of that color. Here, this got a little messed up because I closed the book whenever it was still a little wet, and it took paper and color from this one. But these were some tutorials I found online, I believe on YouTube, starting to prepare for this Mother's Day workshop again of painting the flowers. So I was trying to play with the idea of what if we made a bouquet, which ended up, in my opinion, being way too complicated. So we did not make a bouquet, but these were still fun to play with the color combos, see what mixed well together. And I really enjoyed these tutorials. I really liked these little fluffy things right here. Those were fun. Here's some more tutorials. I don't like that. That makes me feel really weird. I was playing with the Gansai Tombi watercolors again. This little bird on a watering can. There we go. This was a tutorial by Sarah Cray. This was extremely hard for a beginner. I actually traced it out of the book, but I mean, I think you can already sort of see the level up that I'm getting from doing the tutorials, even though they're not perfect. You know, there's mistakes I see within this. Already the level up, and this is just the beginning of February for this book. Here's a Frank, a little cowboy Frank. I'm still sort of avoiding his feet here, but I do love these little cowboy boots, and this piece was a lot of fun to figure out. And it says, Frank has a rootin' tootin' good time. All right, this is one of my least favorite pieces in this book. So it was a tutorial I was following, trying to use wet on wet, and it just wasn't working. This book is not for wet on wet. So this guy, you know, we just left him and moved on, because sometimes that's the best thing you gotta do. Is I tried my best, on to the next thing. There's some cute little mushroom houses that I made. They look phallic. They look like penises. So they make me feel a little weird, but they are supposed to be mushroom houses. But they're supposed to be mushroom houses, but they look like penis houses. So moving on. Oh, this is a fun little room scene I did. So we've got a cozy little nook with a candle. I love to put little plants and just come up with little elements that'll be on the shelves. A lot of that, sometimes it's hard to tell what they are. These are like some little balls in a bowl. We have a lockbox, little bookend things mixed in here. I think the plants are really fun to sprinkle throughout the bookcase. I love these vines trailing down. And I just love this color combo. It almost reminds me of like a Beauty and the Beast sort of vibe. So yeah, then this is a mushroom. This was based on a tutorial that I did. I ended up teaching a mushroom workshop later on in the year. So this was one of the first tutorials I did, starting to learn how to do the depth and the value on the mushrooms. This was a little original. I was playing with trying to do some landscapes. Not a big fan of how this one turned out, but it's all part of the growth process. I love this piece. This is a tutorial that I did on YouTube. There's actually a second one later on in the book from this same lady. I can't remember her name. It's such a cool piece, but it was a wet on wet tutorial, and doing the wet on wet on this paper that's not cotton, it just didn't turn out that great. But I love the wet on wet because it's so loose, and like it's more of like a fun way of learning. It's not so serious and focused, and everything has to be, you know, perfect with it. So I did enjoy this piece a lot. Little barn in the woods. This is the second piece of a tutorial from the same lady. Once again, it was wet on wet, so I really struggled with doing that on this paper, but I just love the color combo in this. Oh my god, the bright pops of red, the purple blue mountains, the color of these greens mixed together, adding the browns and the blues and the spruces. Oh, so pretty. This was inspired on Pinterest. I love still kind of keeping with the theme of doing these little dot colors here. That was fun. I really feel like I'm getting the hang here in the book of adding the shadow to the pots, starting to add the depth to the pots. This was inspired from Pinterest as well. It's a little dresser. I love doing some furniture, and of course playing with some different types of plants. I really love this snake plant. The snake plant was a lot of fun to make. Then we have a Frank here. This isn't one of my favorite Franks, but Frank is outside in the flowers, enjoying nature, getting some fresh air. This is one of my favorite pieces in the book. So this was a tutorial from an awesome lady on YouTube. I believe her YouTube name is Nia Art, maybe? Nia. But her name is Nia. And she makes awesome watercolor tutorials. And they are challenging. So with her watercolor tutorials, I mean, imagine just for the sake of like people clicking on them, she does speed them up, like they're time-lapsed pieces. So it's like, oh, that's a 20-minute video of this, but like realistically this took me 3 days to make. I probably put at least 6 hours into making this, but it's just so beautiful and whimsical, and there's so much depth to it. I love all the different plants. I learned a lot on this piece about shadow and depth. So highly recommend Nia's videos, they're awesome. There's another 1 or 2 later in this book that I did. This was inspired from Pinterest, so I started learning how to make these little fun houses out of items. So this is like a little kettle teapot. Maybe it's not, maybe it's one of those coffee, like a camping coffee maker. I'm not sure, but that was fun. This is a tutorial, wet on wet technique with flowers. This was actually very easy to do, and it was fun. It had the splatter method where you get the paintbrush at the end and you tap it to add some more interest in color. I started trying to go out on my own and make my own flower pieces without following a tutorial. So these were some flowers I found in my yard, and I don't like this at all, but it was a little plein air painting, so I went outside. And to me, plein air, my understanding of it is going outside and painting what you see while you're sitting outside viewing it, rather than like taking a picture and painting it later. So you're in present time with your subject matter. So yeah, this was just a great experiment. There's some little, I think they're like violets maybe? Yeah. These were a couple tutorials I did starting to learn more flowers, trying to prepare for this workshop. These were fun. This was a wet on wet technique. This is more of a wet on dry. I like these. I don't know what kind of flower they are, but that one was fun. It was cool. Oh, and here we have Frank sitting outside, enjoying a glass of tea, eating a cupcake. I actually have a little tea here that's getting chilly, so I might just take a sip. That's nice. Okay, so we have Frank outside, enjoying the weather. Here's some flowers that I made. I'm pretty sure I made this one up. It's just a little bouquet, kind of starting to take some of the knowledge I'd learned prior and making some of my own things with it. This was a learning page, learning what sort of shapes my brush could make. I mainly use the round brush for 90% of the paintings I do. I was watching some tutorials that recommended getting a filbert brush, so I did get that, and that's what it looks like there. It's more of like a flat, rounded brush, and you can hold it at an angle as well. Like you can hold it on the side and get more of these straight lines, and if you hold it flat, so this is the same brush, just different angles you can get with it. And then I was playing different angles with the round brush, making some leaves, different styles of leaves, and then just kind of went crazy here, making some little lily pads and playing with different greens. I do love a good green. Here I was doing the same thing, playing with the different brushes and seeing what sort of flowers I could make with them. This is a cute little tutorial. This was actually very easy as well. I loved this one. You literally just like make these little teardrop shapes, and while they're wet, drop in more pigment, and it spreads on its own. It was really pretty. I enjoyed that one a lot. This was an easy one as well. Love these little flowers. This is actually very similar to the workshop that I ended up teaching, my first watercolor workshop in Nashville. And these are some pansies. And so this was a fun opportunity to play with different colors, utilize the wet on wet technique, wet on dry technique, and sort of get that color mixing. This was fun. Another little spring flower bouquet. This was a fun little original room scene. More vibrant colors. Actually, this was on my birthday. I made this on my birthday. So I was staying in a tiny home cabin in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, getting away from the city. And so, yeah, I just made this little room scene, playing with different plants. I had a lot of fun on these pots. I would get the pots wet and drop in different colors. So this was like purple on the edge and then more of a red toned purple in the middle. Got the little frog hidden. Got a high little frog in there. This was coming up on my first workshop. I had been, I did this like a collab workshop with a group in Nashville called Nashville Sketchbook Club. A friend of mine, Acacia, aka Humming Bones, does these free meetups once a month for artists to sketch together in like usually breweries, sometimes coffee shops. So I was doing a workshop in conjunction with her. And so they had given me these colors, a bag of watercolor. So I was trying to see like what colors we wanted to use in the workshop to make these pansies. So it's some swatches. This is a dresser in my room that I restored a couple years ago. And so I just drew the dresser and some of the plants I have in my house around it. Snake plant, monstera, pothos, and jade, and I don't know what that's called, but I do love that plant. This was based on a little barn I seen in Tennessee, driving by, and I sort of took like a mental image in my head and then tried to recreate it later. I love the teals though, and then the granulated sky is pretty. It's a little hobbit house I made. This was inspired from something I found on Pinterest. It's cozy. This is my venture into learning how to make mushrooms. So these are rough. I was trying to do this without any sort of reference image, without a tutorial, before I started watching tutorials to just see where I was with it, and they're pretty bad. I found this picture somewhere on the internet. I was looking at cottages online, and so this is from a reference image. This little cottage on the cliffside. Doing some more little flower tutorials here. That's like lavender. Little room scene. I did an uncomfortable color palette. These are not normally the colors I lean into, but I wanted to try something outside of the norm. So that's how we got this little funky room. This was a piece that I actually found at my grandma's house. So my great-grandma made something very similar to this with, what's it called, embroidery? She like embroidered a piece like this. And so I took this piece that she had made many, many years ago before she passed, and I recreated it with watercolors. That was really special. Here's just doing a tutorial. These are cornflowers here, and it's a little house that I made. I started trying to do this like thing, which you see later on in the book. I was like seeing YouTubers do spreads where both sides of the book match, or like the colors go together more so. So that was really what happened here, was bringing the colors together. It's more cohesive. It's a little, I think I found this on Pinterest. It's a beach, some little umbrellas. This is a house. I don't know if this is a tutorial. I don't remember. I might have just found it online. I'm not sure, but I do enjoy architecture and making little houses. This was a fun little piece. And then this was a tutorial I found on Skillshare of fruit. And fruit are a lot of fun. Some of these were just absolutely beautiful the way they turned out, and I did learn a lot here about blending and how to add highlights to things, like lifting color off that once you put it on to add highlights, or leaving parts of the painting white. So we got some papaya, kiwi, a pear, a little peach, a lemon, avocado. I think this is a fig, grapes, blueberries, and a strawberry. This was an interesting thing. I was trying to do this technique I have seen one of my favorite YouTubers do, Sophie McPike. She calls it blobbernating, putting blobs of color on a paper and then making something over it. And so I used micron pens and just sort of drew out these little scenes on top of it, because I was just, this day I was kind of struggling with what to make. And so I've got some fruits having a little dance party in the woods, and then just some little flowers. I used to make flowers like this more so when I acrylic painted. So yeah, this was fun, just to move through the artist block. There's a little matching spread. This was me just trying to figure out how to make a butterfly with watercolor. And I love this little room scene. I love the color combos in here, sort of as like retro vibe, you know, with the older phone. Adding some little pictures on the wall. I love these little kind of futuristic aesthetic lights, kind of like the industrial vibe. So this was just a fun little piece. I would totally live in this room. This could be my artist studio. Here I did a little bit more fruit. Got some eggplants, pumpkin, corn, tomatoes, maybe a beetroot, some more carrots, some St. John's wort. Here we go, doing the spread again, trying to match the pieces. So I did this first, obviously, and then tried to pull those colors in, doing this little house. I think this was something I found on Pinterest, but this was fun. I like these. I love a good golden like yellow, a warm yellow with a sap green. This is a really great tutorial I found, I believe on Skillshare. We ended up painting something similar to this for my mushroom watercolor workshop I did in the fall, and I pulled some elements from this that I learned. But yeah, this is really great in learning how to add the shadow. So I got these watercolors online. These are natural earth pigment watercolors from a woman who lives in Oregon, and she makes natural watercolor pigments from clays and mineral rocks that she finds and forges in Oregon. And they are very challenging to work with. It is completely different watercolor palette than using regular watercolors. And you know, this paper was already extremely challenging to work with watercolor. So I don't know if that's why I struggled with this a little bit, but yeah, I just made a little house scene. So this was cute, this was fun. I really love the indigo from this palette. So these are the colors in the palette that I bought from her. My favorite is the indigo. The other ones are just, you really have to work the water into them. They're sort of like dry and gritty, and they're not as smooth. It's a huge adjustment working with these. They're more like granulated and chalky feeling. But yeah, the blue, as you can see here, was much easier to work with. So the blue has indigo in it, and so that was fun. A little mushroom tutorial I did. I hated this piece. I forgot to erase the pencil on it. And you have to erase the pencil before you watercolor, because if you watercolor over pencil, then you can't erase it. So I was sitting at the lake. I live sort of close to a lake, and so I was sitting by the lake trying to paint, and there was actually people around the lake, but I did not put them in my painting because I do not like painting people. This was a series of mushroom tutorials I did from Skillshare, and this really leveled up my knowledge of mushrooms. I might pronounce these wrong, but this is a boletus mushroom here. We have a blusher mushroom. This is a portobello mushroom. Love the color palette here. Some white button mushrooms like you would eat. A trumpet mushroom. Love the cool tones on this guy. Umbrella mushroom. An oyster mushroom. I did this tutorial sitting by a pond with one of my lovely friends, Heidi. She wanted to learn some of these mushrooms with me, and so we had a little day painting, watercoloring together. And this is me recreating that again, starting to work towards finalizing what I was gonna end up making. A mycena mushroom, more whimsical, chanterelle mushrooms. Here I did a more organized swatching of the colors. This bag of watercolors and different brands that my friend has that I use for the workshops that I do. That way I knew what they looked like and I didn't have to try to swatch them every time there was a workshop. So yeah, and some of these colors I want to buy myself because these are not my paints, but I do love this Indian red a lot. I was a huge fan of the phthalo blue, very beautiful. And then it was interesting to see all the different types of browns that could come, the cooler tones and the warm tones. Honestly though, as someone starting out with this Winsor & Newton palette right here, I really feel like I really feel like you can pretty much make everything from this palette. I did switch out this white and buy a black. So I think a black or Payne's gray would be a great replacement for the white here, but you can make pretty much anything with this palette. And I've learned a lot from all these tutorials, watching different types of artists, how to mix my own colors. And some artists recommend getting colors you really like this, like a tube of it. But I think starting out, it's not necessary, especially if you're not sure if you like watercolor and you want to try it out. It's a cute little shop I made. It's a wild herbs. I love the hanging plants in the window. That was fun. This was my first time playing with Payne's gray too, and I have come to really love Payne's gray. Here I was getting ready for a fall workshop. We were going to paint some pumpkins, so I was learning different techniques for painting these little fall elements, figuring out what was going to end up being in the final scene. So I was learning how to do like a blue pumpkin and a white pumpkin, some acorns, and this was the first rendition of it, and this has evolved a lot. The final piece we ended up doing for the workshop was actually very beautiful, but this was just figuring out the scene that I was going to make for the workshop. This was inspired from Pinterest. I was in Asheville at a tea shop, and I was just on a little solo date after a bridal party, and I was just kind of leaning into some inspiration I found online, and both of these I think were from Pinterest. So these were some fun little ideas someone had made. When I was in Asheville, I'd come across a little farmer's market place, I guess you could call it. It was kind of like this place that's had fields of wildflowers that they sold the wildflowers, but they also sold like these colored corns and some colored pumpkins. And so these were some corns I bought. They were only like $1 each, these colored corns. So I got some for fall to decorate our house, and then I just tried to pair some pumpkins that would match them. I feel like this piece would have been a lot better if I had just done something with these two and just these two. It was like the cool tones, warm tones. This is a weird combo, but here I'm just playing around with different fall bouquets, colors. This is something I've seen people do, and I don't like the way mine turned out, but it's like a little grandma quilt. It's like a quilt. I was trying to play with quilt patterns. This was inspired from Pinterest, a little bakery by the seaside. This is inspired from Pinterest, some rolling fields. This was really fun, getting to kind of play with that fall color palette, those warm browns and greens, the oranges. So this is cute. This almost reminds me of something you might see in like Indiana or Ohio. This was a little acorn house. I love this guy so much. I did this at a Nashville Sketchbook Club meetup. So yeah, I love just making these little whimsical houses. I wonder what lives inside of this house. This was another Nia tutorial. The house that I showed earlier in the book that was really detailed. This is another piece from her. I did add the hot air balloon to it. I just wanted to give it a little something. I added this as well, but it's just so detailed, and I learned a lot from this piece. I love the colors she chose for this piece. I love all the elements of plants that she adds to her pieces. So once again, I highly recommend Nia's work. This was a fun page. I wanted to do a spread kind of matching the colors again, but I didn't know what I was gonna make. And so these are actually blobs that started out as blobs, and then I was like, well, let me add little tail fins to these and make these fish. So I didn't know what I was gonna make with this. I sort of just started making things, marks on the paper, and then it turned into these fun little fish. I love his nice little underbite, it's so precious. Here's some more fall. I love to be inspired by the trees and the things around, so This is me just starting to play with some buildings and some fall colors, see what comes about. I believe this was a tutorial from Nia, making some different types of leaves and plants. I really love this leaf, and I really love this one, the fall vibes. The fall vibes. This was a tutorial from Skillshare. It was supposed to be like 15-minute landscapes. You know how that goes. It took a lot longer than 15 minutes, but I had a lot of fun with this. It mainly used Payne's gray and blue. So really just two colors to make this entire scene. Building, of course, from light to dark, as you do with watercolor. You work light to dark typically. This was right before my watercolor workshop, so I was just sort of playing around with the colors, color combos, see if I wanted to, for example, do like a warm yellow with a warm red orange, or a different shade of red. So I was figuring out the colors, because the color combos are quite different in watercolor. Like, as you can see here, you have a cool tone yellow, a warm tone yellow, warm tone red, cool tone red, and so forth. And the way you mix those together, they end up different. So yeah, playing with the combos to see what happened. This one, I was actually at a music festival in Florida, and sitting around with a bunch of people, and I have a lot of lovely friends that I've met through music festivals and just the world of music, specifically EDM. But I don't drink, and so sometimes when I'm in these environments, it can be a little challenging to entertain myself when some of the people around me are doing things that I don't particularly want to participate in. So I was just watercoloring, and I had a grand time. I had a lovely time making these little jellies, these little jellyfish. These were a couple tutorials that I did. This 15-minute tutorials. This is a beautiful little scene. These were both hard because they were wet on wet, which isn't great for this particular book. But I do like these clouds, and my clouds, both these pieces turned out much different than the tutorial I watched, just because of the paper type, unfortunately. But I did have a lot of fun with these clouds, and I like the way that the clouds turned out on this paper. It was a mixture of using this like purple pink and then adding in gouache. So here's some little mushrooms on a log. Started working on these desert scenes, and these were both tutorials. This one I messed up because I dripped watercolor all over it, and it didn't feel like it was fixable. I dripped the watercolor on this piece while I was working on this piece. So it was a lesson in being more conscious and aware of where I'm holding my brush so I don't drip on things. But this is a Death Valley tutorial I did, and then this is a desert scene. This looks like something you might see in Arizona or Utah in the United States. So fun little starry sky. This is really beautiful. I love this blue here as well. This blue color is so pretty. And this piece just has so much depth. It took quite a while to make this one, but I think the results are really pretty. And then of course I did like this gouache sprinkled on top. So then I'm getting into the winter vibe. So I ended up doing a December watercolor workshop, and it was this theme around painting a holiday card. So I was starting to try to figure out, what am I going to paint for this holiday card? And so really my process for these workshops is I'll start out by making some other pieces, looking at a bunch of other pieces other people have made to try to get inspired and learn from those things. So originally we were thinking about doing a gingerbread house, and then I made this little snowy town. I was trying to find something, the workshops are 2 to 3 hours, really about 2 hours is, I would say, mainly the time we have to work with the workshops. And so it's a lot of the people that come to the workshops I do, they've never watercolored before, or it's been a very long time. So I'm trying to come up with something that's like not super easy because I'm teaching adults, but I want it to be challenging. I want it to be something we can do in a 2-hour time frame, knowing that with watercolor you often have to wait for each layer to dry. So yeah, so this little town was fun anyways. We ended up not doing this just because of the tapping, it was like tapping gouache paint on here, and I felt like that'd be messy, and we were in somebody else's space. I didn't want to make a mess. Sort of did something similar to this for the workshop. So I ended up taking a cabin like this and putting it in a snow globe. So we painted a snow globe with a snowy cabin in the woods, similar to this. A little penguin guy. Put Sam as a penguin, which is my partner. That's funny. He's cute. My partner's cute. Makes sense. This is some more watercolor workshops. So these are from a wonderful artist on YouTube. I believe her name is Kristen Vanderwall. But she makes a bunch of very lovely landscape tutorials, and I'm planning on going to Utah for my 30th birthday this year. So I have been practicing landscape scenes. So this is a horseshoe bend. This is Zion National Park. I hope to go to Zion this year on my birthday. We'll see. I love these blues though. Her tutorials are very, very helpful. They're awesome. So if you're wanting to learn landscapes, I would definitely recommend checking out her tutorials on YouTube. These are some more scenes that I did. I believe this one is one from her as well. I don't think this one is. I found this somewhere in tutorial land. But yeah, these are like silhouetted pieces. So really focusing on doing the pops of color in the night sky and then silhouetting the desert landscape. It's like a very beautiful style. This was a really cool workbook that I found. I actually have it right here, so I'm gonna share it. I got this from the library where I live, and I ended up purchasing it or getting it as a gift for Christmas, but Watercolor Cabinet of Curiosities by Nasaiba Torno, creator of Nusei Art. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, so I apologize, but this is an awesome tutorial book, not to get super distracted, but it's a lot of insects and oddities. So I did quite a few of these. I was getting ready to go on a trip to Costa Rica in the jungle, and so I was wanting to learn some butterflies. So yeah, we've got the emerald birdwing butterfly here, the blue morpho butterfly. I actually saw several of these in Costa Rica. That was really cool. So yeah, I got tiger moth here, cabbage butterfly, so cute. We have a Luna moth, Hercules beetle, and this one his nose is actually usually quite a bit longer, but I kind of centered him not the best, so we'll just pretend he's a baby. He's a baby Hercules beetle. But I love doing these bugs, and moths are just awesome. It's a great tutorial book. These are all pieces from her book. By the way, these are all tutorials. So this is a antique magnifying glass, sunset moth. This was a very hard moth to do. A lot of layers. I had a lot of layers on it, but it was beautiful. It turned out beautiful. I have a couple landscapes mixed in here. These were tutorials that I found online. A little mountain with sunsets and a foggy, misty mountain forest. This is a fun couple pages I did here. So I took some things from Nasaiba's bugs. So this is a bug from the book. And then I made a corresponding place where I think the bug might live. So this is a little tree house that this little guy lives in. And yeah, so this was going into Originals land here. This is something that I came up with. And I just love this piece. I think it's really cute. Same thing here. We have a stag beetle tutorial that I did, and then I made a corresponding log house for him. Stag beetles actually, in her book, she talks about kind of where the animals live and shares fun facts about them in the tutorial, and they do sometimes live in logs. So I thought this was funny to add a log that he lives in. And of course we got a nice little place to moonbathe or sunbathe and hang out. And then this was a tutorial in the book of a ladybug, and we've got a little teapot house the ladybug lives in. And here we have a common Buckeye butterfly. This was a very challenging piece to do. It was a tutorial from the Watercolors of Curiosities book. It was hard. This was a hard piece. And he lives in a pueblo. He's a little pueblo butterfly. Yeah. I believe that I got inspired from this from Pinterest too. So this was a fun watercolor book I did. I actually have this one right next to me as well, so I'll go ahead and pull it out and just share. This was a Christmas present from my mom. It's a creative abstract watercolor book by Kate Rebecca Leach, and it's really just like these abstract pieces, some like botanical pieces, but this was a form of watercolor that I had not done yet, and it was very calming and relaxing. And at this point in the book, I'm starting to get to where the year is almost over and I'm trying to finish this book. So I was doing like 2 pieces a day towards the end here, or 1 piece a day. Really, I did 25 pieces in December to finish this book off. So I was watercoloring hardcore while also on this like 2-week trip out of the country. I did bring this with me, and that's where a lot of the bugs I worked on when I was in Costa Rica. So here we've got these, just little abstract pieces, so squares, and then these are what she calls pebbles in the book. And with these, it's like a layer of colors, let it dry, and then you add a layer of wet on dry patterns. And then once that dries, you add kind of the more fine details with either a micron pen or a jelly roll pen. Same thing here. I was trying to do a spread of matching colors. We've got these mix of Payne's gray and this like kind of tealy, more blue-green and pink. So this was fun. This was probably my favorite one. I love these like 80s colors. I love 80s colors. So this almost reminds me of a jacket that I own. So these were the 80s vibes here. And then this is like Easter pastels to me, Easter vibes. Yeah, these were fun, just relaxing. And then this is the last page in the book, so I had to end the book with a Frank, naturally. So we have Frank. I feel like on this last page, I finally figured out how to make Frank's feet. So this is most likely how I'm gonna do the feet going forward for Frank. It's like toes together sort of situation. Still got the bowed out legs. But yeah, so Frank's painting a little abstract painting. And you know, honestly, it was kind of funny. I made this and I showed my partner and he was like, "It's you." Yeah. This is me as a Frank in this particular picture. So yeah. That's the last piece, and you know, maybe one day I'll make a children's book from these Franks. I don't know. I'm still. It's kind of interesting with character development. This is the first character I really tried to develop multiple versions of it, and making the same character look the same. And I've been keeping up with him at this like same side angle with most of the pieces I've done. It's challenging. I don't know how people used to draw old cartoons and stuff like that, where, you know, for example, like SpongeBob, where the character looks the same over and over and over again with each episode, because it's challenging to keep the body proportions similar and the colors similar. So we'll see, but it would be fun to make a little children's book of him, or a picture book at one point in the future. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this sketchbook. I hope that you had a lovely time seeing a glimpse into what I made over the last year. And if there is one thing I could say with this whole project, I've got a new sketchbook that I started. I don't feel like I got burnt out from doing this, because I really do love watercoloring a lot. But it was really hard to do this many pieces in a year. There were a lot of times when I had to say no to things I was maybe invited to, or maybe I was invited to things and I had to bring my book. And so there was times where I was at like house parties or on friend vacations, trips with friends, and I was off alone in a corner watercoloring to finish this book. So maybe if you're trying to do a book, I would recommend starting with a little bit of a smaller book, like a 50-page watercolor workbook. I will say that this is, if you're curious of what brand this is, it was Ohuhu. And it was mainly, I think, designed for alcohol ink markers, which I did not try. And it is sold on Amazon. I wouldn't recommend this for watercolor. It was a great book that held up for me, and I think it served its purpose in being extremely affordable for me. But I think over this, I would recommend maybe some Canson watercolor paper, or I just started using another sketchbook recently that it's all right. It is a bit more on the pricey side, but it's Etcher brand. It's got this little llama on it. And this is 100% pot paper, so it's a little bit better of a paper. And if you would like to see more watercolor videos, more artsy, sort of earthy vibe content, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to see more tutorials in general, be sure to like this video. Leave a comment, let me know what your favorite piece was in this book, or let me know if there was something that you in particular really enjoyed. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Morning, afternoon, evening, night, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, Athena. Athena, I'm gonna put you in my artist vlog, my sketchbook tour. Say hi to the people watching the sketchbook tour.